ਪਿਆਰੀ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਹੁਣੇ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਜੀ ਪਾਸੋਂ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਅਤੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਰਵਣ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਦੇ ਮੌਕੇ ਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਕੱਤਰਿਤ ਹੋਏ ਹਾਂ। I just remembered that I have been requested to speak in English, but somehow that Punjabi comes by default. So we all are here to celebrate Vaisakhi today, and we know the significance and importance of this day in the Sikh world. Growing up, I think these are days when at least we all come to Gurdwara, be it Guru Nanak Sahib Prakash Purab, Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Prakash Purab or Vaisakhi. These are certain days when we all come to Gurdwara. And there is a lot of significance of this day in our life. And when we come, we celebrate. As kids, when we used to come, what used to happen was, okay, we would come to the Gurdwara, we would just bow down our head, we would donate some money, we would eat the langar and we would go home. But usually we would not really learn what's being taught. There was a difference, the way it was being communicated and the way it is received, there was always a gap. So, or you would learn a little bit about it. Okay, we know Vaisakhi, some basic facts about what this day is all about, and that's it. But what used to be missing was, what is in it really for me? What is it that really sort of inspires me or has the potential to bring a change in my life? That message, that thought was missing. But growing up, as you start reading Gurbani in more detail, we sort of realize what we were missing when we were not really paying attention to it. See, doing part is one thing, we all do part, but sometimes we do it just for the sake of doing, because we have been told you have to do this. We have been told, chote je hunde ya, we are being told, chalo mool mantar kar lo, right? So kids start doing that. We give them some sort of incentive. Either incentive or stick, that is what we used to, whatever way works. But until and unless we realize what is the meaning of this, it is not going to bring any change in our lives. So today we are here celebrating Vaisakhi. Very briefly about the history of this day. It was on this day in 1699 that Guru Gobind Singh Ji, he founded Khalsa on this particular day. Now let us go behind and think, what was the need to create Khalsa? The message of Sikhism, or the concept, the doctrine was all there since the time of Guru Nanak Pasha. So there have been 10 generations from Guru Nanak Sahib up to Guru Gobind Singh Ji, that message has been passed on. Ad Granth was already created. Guru Granth was already created. So what was now the need that he created Khalsa? If we go back in history, what happened before 1699, Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib, who was the father of Guru Gobind Singh Pasha and the 9th Guru, he sort of revolted against the Mughal Empire, whereby the Islamic ruler of that time, he was so determined to forcefully convert Hindus into Muslims. That was the core intent, the core mission of his empire, that by hook or crook, by whatever means, he was just doing a mass conversion of people into Islam. People were really fed up of what was going on. They really feared him, but they couldn't figure out a way how to sort of stop the kind of excess that he was creating. And at that point, Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib volunteered, and he told the Kashmiri Pandits who came to him with a request that can he help stop this. And Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib, at that point in time, he said that you go and give that message to the emperor that if he can convert me, then everyone would convert into Islam. Now the emperor of the time tried his best, but he couldn't convert Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib, and to an extent that he gave his head. He sacrificed his life, but he was not ready for a forceful conversion. Now think about what would have happened in the politics of those days. An emperor whose terror was everywhere, an emperor that the entire nation used to be afraid of. Someone suddenly comes up and stood against him and says, yeah, you can take off my head, but I am not ready to give up to your demand of forceful conversion. They thought that there is an uprising, something is happening, and they wanted to just curb it at that moment. So post Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib's Shahadat, if we go into history, the Mughals were searching for Sikhs left, right and center. They were paying prices for the heads of Sikhs. They wanted to hunt Sikhs by any means because they thought there is this gentleman who has come up with an idea and who has his supporters, because it wasn't Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib on his own who gave his life. Before that, it was other associates along with him whom they sacrificed to create that sense of fear. But nothing worked. Now when this sort of fear was created, or the manhunt was going on post Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib's Shahadat, post his martyrdom, there were people who were afraid of even getting out of houses or even talking about whom they are, talking about their religion. They were trying to shy away from this particular thing. And at that point in time, when Guru Gobind Singh Pasha now took the charge of the Sikh way of life, he had to do something to revive everything. He had to do something to build up that courage. He had to do something to show his style of leadership, and that's when he thinks of this concept that I have to create an army. I have to convert all these saints into soldiers. I have to make them feel proud of their identity. So there were only two options. Either the cruel emperor of the time would have won the war, people would have withdrawn themselves because the numbers were so low. Even today, if you see, we are just 2% of the population of India. Yesterday we were doing a presentation here. There were some councillors and some other dignitaries who were visiting, and I learned from that presentation that we are 3.5% of the population of Sussex. So I was thinking we have more representation here than in India. So we may think of ourselves to be in big numbers when you think we are out of 1.3 billion people. So practically we have more representation in this part of the world today than back in India. So Guru Gobind Singh Pasha, showing his sort of leadership, he was leading everyone where he didn't wanted people to be afraid and sit within their houses. He wanted to fight back. He wanted them to stand against injustice. That was the whole principle of Sikhism. That is what Guru Nanak Pasha has always been doing. That is what all the Guru Sahibans have been doing. And To do that, it was on this day in 1699 in Anandpur Sahib that he gives this call that I want 5 heads. Within the Sangat, he comes and says, I want 5 heads. Now, this is very scary. It's very easy when they ask for money here, it's very easy when they say, bring atta, dal, chawal, whatever. Everything is easy. Giving your head, this was something unheard of. But then we would have to understand what was he actually trying to do when he is saying that. When he asks for that, and now when we would go back and look into history, the 5 people who came out of that gathering, who offered their heads, who are known as Panch Pyaras, who were they? Pai Daya Singh, Pai Taram Singh, Pai Himmat Singh, Pai Mohakkam Singh, Pai Sahib Singh. Now we all have heard about the Panch Pyaras and their names. We talk about them, we pay our reverence to them every day in the Ardas. And we thought we are all Punjabis, they are all Punjabis, they come from the community. But Guru Gobind Singh Pasha had a bigger mission. So let us see where these Panch Pyaras come from. Pai Daya Singh, he comes from Lahore in now Pakistan, and he was a shopkeeper. So another big problem in the India of those days was the caste system. And Guru Pashas throughout from Guru Nanak Sahib have been fighting against this caste system. So now Guru Gobind Singh Pasha in his Panch Pyaras, he is bringing up the first Panch Pyara. He is a shopkeeper, and caste, for those who don't know, mainly the kids, in the Indian caste system, it comes from what was your occupation in those days. So he was a shopkeeper, so he was a Khatri. The second Pai Taram Singh, he comes from Hastinapur. This is a place in Uttar Pradesh. Again, far away from Punjab in the district of Meerut. And he was a farmer, a Jat. The third one, Pai Himmat Singh, he comes from Jagannath in Odisha. A place thousands of miles away from Punjab, away from Anandpur Sahib, where this is happening. Because somehow we think Sikhism is all about Punjab and Sikhs coming from that part of the land. It is not so. The Panch Pyaras that we revere. So Pai Himmat Singh comes from Jagannath in Odisha, and he was a water carrier. So if you go to that caste, it would be something like Kumar or Jeevar, those people who know caste. And I know all the elderly would know that. Pai Mohakkam Singh, where does he come from? He is a Gujarati. He comes from Bet in Dwarka, not the Dwarka that we know because of Lord Krishna. This is the Bet in Dwarka, which is Gujarat, and he is a tailor. So he is a Chimba by caste. Fifth is Pai Sahib Singh Ji, who is from Bidar in Karnataka. So, and he is a barber, a Nai by caste. Talking about Sikhism, and one of the Panch Pyaras was a barber. Let's look at what the Guru is trying to do. We usually don't go in these details because our Pracharas just love to talk about some miraculous things. You come, you do this, you donate this, and you would get this. That is how we create the relationship. So now, for those who know the geography of India, Lahore, Pakistan is towards north of Punjab. So the first Panch Pyara Pai Daya Singh, he is coming from Lahore. Then we come to UP, which is the Midland, the Hindi heartland of India. Then comes Pai Himmat Singh, which is Jagannath Puri, Odisha, which is east of India. Then comes Mohakkam Singh, which is Gujarat, which is the west end of India. And Karnataka, which is southwest of India. So covering all the corners of India, rather the Indian subcontinent of those days, which includes today's Pakistan also. So these 5 Panch Pyaras coming from 5 different regions of India definitely would be speaking 5 different languages in those days, belonging to 5 different castes. And what does he say? From now onwards, they are equivalent to Guru. Rather, Guru Gobind Singh himself took Khande ki Pahul from these Panch Pyaras. Now think of the concept of leadership. All those who would be working in the corporate world in this part of the world would be very familiar with this term called DNI, diversity and inclusion, right? Diversity and inclusivity. We all talk about it in our workplaces. You have to have right representation from across the spectrum, all kind of diversity. Now think about what Guru Gobind Singh Pasha is doing in 1699. This level of diversity. Someone is trying to lay the foundation of the panth that he is establishing, and he is bringing in representatives, not representatives, leaders from all across the communities, speaking different languages, belonging to different castes. Because what he is saying is, when they all come together, they are the ones who are going to give the Khande ki Pahul to me also as a Guru. That means I am one of them, and there couldn't be a better symbolism or a better way to abolish the so-called caste system. Which it is strange what Guru Gobind Singh Pasha could do in 1699 back in Anandpur Sahib. We sitting here thinking we live in the developed part of the world, the Western world. We may have traveled thousands of miles and is sort of settled in this part of the world. We all know how much we are still sort of stuck in this system. At least those who have gone through their matrimonial phase, they will understand and realize this. How suddenly this becomes so important in the families. How do your nanis and dadis and dads suddenly rise up and say, you cannot marry in this and this caste. So Guru Gobind Singh Pasha's leadership is clearly visible, that when he is trying, even when we today try to do something, we always try to do things in closed group, right? We should know the person. We should know who he is. If we are trying to, even at work, if we are trying to create a leadership system, we would give preference to those who know, those whom we know. If we want to run our Gurdwara, we want people who should be very closely part of the community. They can do this. But Guru Gobind Singh Pasha had the wisdom and courage to show this sort of leadership, that when he is starting this, he is bringing people all along. He is bringing everyone along. And what we call as diversity, I somehow don't like this word. The actual word is oneness. Because what he talks about, there is only one. And that is the whole concept of Gurbani. Gurbani starts from here. You know, the very first verse of Guru Granth Sahib, it starts from Ik Omkar. And the Ik that is put there, the entire Gurbani is written in alphabets. How do we write literature, scripts? We write in alphabets, right? But he doesn't write Ik as a word. Ik is a numeral. When the script starts, he put Ik as a numeral, and then he starts alphabet. The next Uda, which is not Uda, he makes it Omkar, which is open-ended, because he wanted to be very clear. When you say one as a word, one could be many. Those who know literature well, they would understand. But when you say one as a numeral, there is only and only one and nothing else. And that is the pure message of Gurbani. Everything starts from one, means we all are one. There is no difference between any. But somehow, because of whatsoever reason, because of our egoistic spirits, we all human beings want to prove ourselves superior by some or other means, and historically, out of this greed to or this desire to prove that I am better, we create distinctions, and these distinctions have created the so-called caste systems, where one caste feels that we are superior than the other, and those who had any sort of power over others sort of tried to prove it this way and created a distinction in the society. So the Panch Pyaras that we talk about, they represent all this kind of diversity and inclusivity, so that no one should feel that I am left out. Guru Gobind Singh says, I am initiating a panth where no one should feel left out. Then look at their names. The first Panch Pyara is Pai Daya Singh. Daya means mercy, being merciful, kind, compassionate. So when you walk on the path of religion, he says, maybe I am making soldiers out of you, but the first thing you have to have within you is mercy. A religion could originate only out of mercy. Then, Pai Taram Singh. Taram means righteous living. Then comes Pai Himmat Singh, means you need to have courage. You should have a courageous spirit. ਹੁਣੇ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸਨ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਬਾਜ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ, ਉਹ ਕਦੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਤੋਂ ਡਰ ਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿ ਸਕਦਾ। ਬਾਜ ਪਿੰਜਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੰਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿ ਸਕਦਾ, ਜਾਂ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਪਿੰਜਰਾ ਤੋੜ ਦੇਗਾ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਤੋੜ ਲਵੇਗਾ, ਬਟ ਪਿੰਜਰੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੰਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਹਿ ਸਕਦਾ। ਸੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹ ਪੰਜ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਹਨ, ਹੀ ਪਿਕਸ ਅਪ the names are like that. Then comes Mohkam, means a strong firm leader. You should have a leadership instinct within you if you have to lead. And then comes Sahib. Sahib means one who is master of his own self. Because these, if we read Gurbani, these are the stages that Guru Pasha throughout in Gurbani is teaching us. How do you progress in your life? And the ultimate stage is Sahib, to be master of one's own self. Man jeeta jagjeet. One who can conquer his own mind. Now here where it's a challenge, because though language is only a mode of communication, but now there are so many words, like man is one such word I always struggle to find a parallel in English, because man is neither mind nor heart. But because of the limitation of words between different languages, it is very difficult to find something parallel to man. But Guru Pasha says that if you are a warrior, a real warrior is one who conquers his own man, his own heart, his own thought process. So, just how this entire thing was conceptualized, you can see what sort of visionary Guru Gobind Singh Pasha was, what sort of leadership skills he had. When he constituted this concept of Khalsa, he brings in inclusivity, he brings people from all castes, he brings people speaking different languages, he brings people from different parts of the continent, of the subcontinent, and then through their names also, there is a message going out. And the message is that your journey of religion, you have to start from mercy. Without mercy, nothing works. Then you have to bring in righteous living. Within our life, we all have to bring in righteous living. Then the courage, be a firm leader, and that is how you become a master of your own self. So these are just few important points. Whatever concept we learn within Sikhism, there is always a lot of depth. When we talk about Vaisakhi, if we don't learn about these things, it doesn't really do justice. And secondly, if we learn about these things but don't adopt anything within our life, again, it is of no use. So we have to see what message do we take out of this. Guru Pasha says, Manre thir raho, mat kat jahi jiho. बाहर ढूंढत बहुत दुख पावे, घर अमृत कट माही जीव. Now another concept related to Vaisakhi is the concept of Khande ki Pahul. Now there are two words. One is Amrit, which over and again Gurbani quotes what Amrit is, and Guru Pasha, Guru Sahib says, Nanak Amrit ek hai, duja Amrit nahi. And when you ask Guru Sahib what is that Amrit, he says, Nanak Amrit mane mahe, paiye gur pargas. O Amrit tere man de andar hai. And through the Guru's grace and the Guru's learning, you can get that nectar from within you. And then is the concept of Khande ki Pahul that Guru Gobind Singh Pasha introduces to bring that discipline within the army that he constituted. Now Guru Pasha explains, he says, Jis jalnid karan tum jag aaye, so amrit gur pahi jiho, chodo ves pekh chaturai, dubida e fal nahi jiho. Guru Pasha, how do I get that amrit? Then he says, first of all, you have to get rid of this illusion that you would have to look in a particular way to get that nectar in your life. And you would have to find a sort of solace within your own self. Manre thir raho, mat kat jahi jiyo. Now what happens? What is the biggest distraction in mind? In life, the biggest distraction is our own man, because it is the man that keeps wandering all around. You may shut off everything, you may go away from the cities to the towns, away from the towns to the rural areas, you may sit in the quietest place in the world, but still this mind would be wandering all around. It won't let us live quietly. It is the biggest barrier. Why? Because this man or this mind is so calculative. It is always calculating and figuring out, if I achieve this, I would be better off. If I do this, I would be better off. If I earn this much, I would be better off. And in our lives, we are always seeking happiness. And in that pursuit of happiness, we are always trying to achieve more and more. We think the more I bring towards me, I would get happier. But does that really happen? No. All that happens is, in that pursuit to achieve something, we are so much focused to get it. The moment we get it, there could be a temporary sort of excitement which we think is happiness, but after that there is another thing which is in my reach, and things that are in my reach never give us happiness. Then we try to extend further. If I get a package of 5,000, I think if I would earn 6,000 per month, it would be better. When I earn 6,000, then 10,000 becomes the limit. When I become 10,000, the limit keeps going on. I want a house, I want a car. I get a house, now I want a bigger house. From a terraced house, I want a semi-detached. From a semi-detached, I want a detached, I want a bungalow, whatever. But does any of that give me happiness? Happiness is not related to that. And Guru Pasha says, if you really want happiness, if you really want that Amrit, then manre thir raho, mat kat jahi jiyo. Bahar ढूंढत बहुत दुख पावे, कर अमृत कट माही जियो. The happiness that you are trying to achieve is always through external means. And he says, till the time you would keep wandering to get this happiness through all those external means, it is not going to benefit you by any means. Now the point here is, he doesn't stop us from growing in our lives. He doesn't tell us don't earn wealth, don't grow in your life, just leave everything, go to a jungle and live your life like that. He is not saying that. All he is saying is, whatever you may be achieving to make your life more comfortable is fine, but if your happiness is dependent on those things, that is where the problem is. And how so much we may deny that fact, if we would sit with our own selves and think of our lives, we would realize that this is how life goes on. There is always something we want to achieve. There is something more we want to achieve that would make us happy. And then he says, if you really want to achieve more, then what? He says, avgun chhod, guna ko tavo, kar avgun pachtahi jiyo. If you want to achieve more, if you want to set targets for yourself, if you want to set goals for yourself, then your goal should be avgun chhod. Get rid of your wrongdoings. Get rid of things you know you should not be doing. We all know. We all do things we know we should not be doing, but we keep doing them. And this is the cycle we get trapped in. And that is what Guru Sahib wants us to take out of. He says, Sar apsar ki sar ne jane, fir keech budai jiyo. You are not able to realize, or we are not able to realize what is right or wrong for me. And that is the kind of decision making skill Guru Sahib is prepping us for. We need to learn to take the right calls. But is it like we know? The problem is not that we don't know what is not to be done. The problem is that we know and we still do it. Guru Pasha says, Haath deep kuएं par hai, kaएं ki kuslat. Jive someone is holding a diva in his hand, means light. He has got light. So, and then he walks and steps into a khu, in a well. Right? This is like, it's not like you were unaware. We are aware. We are aware of what we should not be doing, but we still keep doing that. There is a system around everywhere. We keep falling into those traps over and again. सर अफसर की सार न जाने फिर कीच बुढ़ाई जियो अंतर मैल लोभ बहु छूट है बाहर नावों का ही जियो. Then he says the problem is within you. All the mal that you have is the impurity that we have is within us. So just by going somewhere and taking a dip in some so-called holy sarovar is not going to clean my inner soul. I would just think I have done something. That's why he says, तीरथ नावन जाओ, तीरथ नाम है, तीरथ शब्द विचार अंतर ज्ञान है. If you really want to go and take a dip in a तीरथ, then he says, take a dip in this Gurbani Rupi Sarovar, where you get that knowledge, and that knowledge could cleanse your heart, and you could be a better version of your own self. अंतर मैल लोभ बहु छूटे बाहर नावो काई जियो निर्मल नाम जपो सद गुरमुख अंतर की गत ताई जियो. Until and unless we become humble from inside, nothing outside is going to change. परहर लोभ निंदा कूड़ त्यागो सच गुर बचनी फल पाही जियो. What is the one thing that always attracts when we talk about others on their back? And we have to watch our own selves. We all do this. I do this all the time, and I find how sort of encouraging it is, or how exciting it is when two people are talking about someone else at his back, we always like to join that conversation. We always love such gossips. We love to hear about ਦੂਜੇ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ. We love to hear about that. We love to hear about what is happening in someone's family, everything all around us. When we know something bad about someone, there is high probability that we would go and talk to others. ਮੈਂ ਨਾ ਰਾਤੀ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਪੀ ਕੇ ਪਬ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਡਿੱਗਿਆ ਪਿਆ ਸੀ. We would go and tell 20 more people. But when we know of others' achievements, we keep them to ourselves. We don't talk to spread the word around. That is how we are. But Guru Pasha says, Nirmal naam japo sad gurmukh, antar ki gat tahi jiyo, par har lobh ninda kood tyago. You have to leave these things. People ask na, ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਲਾ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਛੱਡਣਾ ਪਏਗਾ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਏਗਾ. We are always talking about what shall I eat, what shall I not eat, what time I get up, what time. No, Guru Pasha is talking about the real discipline is when I keep an eye on what does my mind eat, what does my brain eat. Just imagine, ਸਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਕੋਈ ਆਏ, someone is visiting us and they bring their bin bag with them, right? They sit in our living room, they come, they open the bin bag and the kids start throwing the bin all around. Would we let them sit there for a minute? We won't bear that. But now what happens when people carry all that bin bag in their minds? They come to our living rooms, we entertain them, and then they start opening their bin bags, talking about everything that is happening in every other family in the Biradari. And we love to take all that garbage. We collect that garbage. We keep that garbage with us and we carry it on to others. Now, next time you catch yourself doing this, don't look at others. Don't see, yes, someone does like this. You know, the instant reaction of our mind into these things is, others do like this. My so-and-so relatives do like this. Don't look at it like that. Guru Pasha says, Farida, je tu akal latif, kale likhna lekh. Je tu kehna na mere kol sama thoda hai, akal thodi hai. Don't waste your time looking into what others are doing. Aap panada girebaan mein sir niwa kar dekh. You just look inside you. What am I doing? And when we would learn that, we would realize I can slowly get rid of these things. That is how we cleanse ourselves and we create a real Khalsa. Then he says, par har lobh ninda kood tyago, sach gur bachni fal pahi jiyo, jyo bhave tyo rakho har jiyo, jan nanak shabad salahi jiyo. The one who gets the real Amrit, he then realizes that I have surrendered and I am happy the way you keep me. Now we need to understand, this is another very important principle of Sikhism. The challenge is we always convert our religious places into a give and take relationship. You come here, you donate and you get something. You come here, you do ardas and this would be done to you. Whatever you ask for would be given to you. But Guru Pasha says it doesn't work like that. The real Amrit actually happens when we love to live the way he keeps us. जो तुद भावै साई भलीकार, तू सदा सलामत निरंकार. I am not here to just come and ask for more and more. I am here to come and learn to live with what I have, to be thankful with what I have. That is why we celebrate our gurus who have given up their entire families, their kids, their parents and everything they have given up, and still they are not complaining. And what do we come? We come here and we say, okay, today is a Shahidi Purab. Okay, eh shahadat hoi, but I have brought something for you. Tusi mera kaam kara do. With this mindset, we can never attain happiness in life. This is a greedy mind. We have been created by like lions, right? We are Singhs. We haven't been created like a greedy dog. That is the distinction he created. That is the what Paisa was talking about, the barge, the representation that is used even when the bird is picked up is the barge. who rules like a ruler. So we have to learn to rule our own heart, our own mind, and then we can move on. Jyo pave tyo rakhe. Guru Sahib goes to an extent and says, ਜੇ ਭੁੱਖ ਦੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਤ ਹੀ ਰਾਜਾਂ, ਜੇ ਤੂੰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਖ ਦਵੇਂ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਰੱਜ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹਾਂ। ਸੁੱਖ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੁੱਖ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁੱਖ ਮਨਾਈ। ਮਾਈ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਹੈਜ਼ ਬੀਨ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਡ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਦੁੱਖ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਸੁੱਖ ਮਨਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹਾਂ। So that is the power of Gurbani, and that is the power of this whole way of life, this doctrine. And on this day we are celebrating Vaisakhi. All we should do is at least learn one basic principle and think, now I would observe my life under the light of this principle. Be it, can I stop demanding in my life? Can I learn to be happy with what I have? People say, if we do this, then there won't be any growth in life. No, this doesn't stops us from growing. Rather, this clears our mind and our life to be more focused on growth. Not just, it helps us get rid of a complaining mindset. It doesn't makes us get rid of a growth mindset. If we can adopt any of these things, you would see the change that happens, and then everything starts falling in place. Then we don't have to tell people you have to come and follow religion, you have to do this. Then we see the value in religion, then we see the value in the doctrine that we all come and bow down to, and then we get interested into adopting that into our life. So with this, I think my time is over now. ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧਾਈ। ਸ਼ਬਦ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਜਾਂ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਏ ਮੇਰੇ ਪਾਸੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਭੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੋਏ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਖਿਮਾ ਦਾ ਜਾਚਕ ਹਾਂ। ਬਟ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਣ ਵੇਲੇ ਇਹ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣੀ ਹੈ, so that I can think, okay, what do I have learned today? We learned about the Panch Pyaras, we learned about the diversity and inclusivity that Guru Gobind Singh Pasha sort of demonstrated in the way he structured this entire event. We saw how they came from different walks of life and they were brought equal to the Guru. Guru Sahib was very clear that the Panch Pyaras are no less than the Guru. That is why we see them as a collective force of the Guru. And with that, it comes the message of equality. If he can treat people from all these different castes, all these different languages, different regions as one, why do we create so many distinctions in our life? Why do we always keep thinking? Because of an egoistic mindset, a mind that tries to prove I am better. One who is always trying to prove I am better than the other, that is the biggest constraint in all relationships. Be it between husband and wife, be it between friends, be it at work. The thing to prove that I am better than others never helps. I am one of many. I am one which has, and the many have been created from one. That is the kind of concept we have to live with. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.